Question 47. Which of the following can you use to implement strict governance and ensure that the right people have access to the right resources and only when they need it? Option A, Azure Bastion. Option B, Azure Active Directory. Option C, Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Option D, Microsoft Sentinel. And the correct answer is option B, Azure Active Directory. Explanation. From the official docs, Azure Active Directory, part of Microsoft Intra, is an enterprise identity service that provides single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, and conditional access to guard against 99.9% of cybersecurity attacks. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is a solution for cloud security posture management and cloud workload protection that finds weak spots across cloud configurations, helps strengthen the overall security posture of environments, and can protect workloads across multi-cloud and hybrid environments from evolving threats. Azure Bastion is a fully managed service that provides more secure and seamless remote desktop protocol RDP and secure shell protocol SSH access to virtual machines VMS without any exposure through public IP addresses. Microsoft Sentinel is a bird's eye view across the enterprise. It puts the cloud and large-scale intelligence from decades of Microsoft security experience to work. Make your threat detection and response smarter and faster with artificial intelligence. Next question. Dash is an agreement with Microsoft to use one or more Microsoft cloud platforms or services, for which charges accrue based on either a per-user license fee or on cloud-based resource consumption. Option A, a user account. Option B, a license. Option C, a subscription. Option D, a resource group. And the correct answer is option C, a subscription. Explanation. According to the official docs, as you can see on the screen. Next question. One of the definitions of the hybrid cloud model is to use multiple public clouds in conjunction with a private cloud. Option A, no. Option B, yes. And the correct answer is option B, yes. Explanation. From the official docs, a hybrid cloud, sometimes called a cloud hybrid, is a computing environment that combines an on-premises data center, also called a private cloud, with a public cloud, allowing data and applications to be shared between them. Some people define hybrid cloud to include multi-cloud configurations wherein organization uses more than one public cloud in addition to their on-premises data center. Next question. Which of the following is a serverless solution that allows you to write less code, maintain less infrastructure, and save on cost? Option A, Azure DevOps. Option B, Azure Functions. Option C, Azure Logic Apps. Option D, Azure App Service. And the correct answer is option B, Azure Functions. Explanation. Azure Functions allows you to run small pieces of code called functions without worrying about application infrastructure. With Azure Functions, the cloud infrastructure provides all the up-to-date servers you need to keep your application running at scale. A function is triggered by a specific type of event. Supported triggers include responding to changes in data, responding to messages, running on a schedule, or as a result of an HTTP request. Few of the features of Azure Functions are on the screen. Next question. Which of the following services would you help achieve the following? Number 1. Create and manage a group of load-balanced VMS. Number 2. Provide high availability and application resiliency by distributing VMS across availability zones. Number 3. Allows your application to automatically scale as resource demand changes. Option A. Azure Reason Pairs. Option B. Azure Scale Sets. Option C, Azure Subscriptions. Option D, Azure Resource Groups. And the correct answer is option B, Azure Scale Sets. Explanation. A great article from the official Microsoft documentation. Next question. An organization would like to create a web app to allow its employees to enter their vacation, time off details and then store that information in a backend storage solution. They have noted that Python is their preferred language. As the lead consultant, which service would you recommend? Option A, Azure App Service. Option B, Azure Functions. Option C, Azure Cosmos DB. Option D, Azure Kubernetes. And the correct answer is Option A, Azure App Service. Explanation. From the official Azure docs, Azure App Service is an HTTP-based service for hosting web applications, REST APIs, and mobile backends. You can develop in your favorite language, be it Net, Core, Java, Ruby, Node.js, PHP, or Python. Applications run and scale with ease on both Windows and Linux-based environments. Next question. You have managed an app that you developed and deployed on-prem for a long time, but would now like to move it to Azure and be relieved of all the manual administration and maintenance. Which of the following buckets would be most suitable for your use case? Option A, Infrastructure as a Service, IaaS. Option B, Database as a Service, DAAS. Option C, Software as a Service, SaaS. Option D, Platform as a Service, PaaS. And the correct answer is Option D, Platform as a Service, PaaS. Explanation. Platform as a Service is a complete development and deployment environment in the cloud, with resources that enable you to deliver everything from simple cloud-based apps to sophisticated, cloud-enabled enterprise applications. You purchase the resources you need from a cloud service provider on a pay-as-you-go basis and access them over a secure internet connection. Like IaaS, PaaS includes infrastructure, servers, storage and networking, but also middleware development tools, business intelligence services, database management systems, and more. PaaS is designed to support the complete web application lifecycle, building, testing, deploying, managing, and updating. PaaS allows you to avoid the expense and complexity of buying and managing software licenses, the underlying application infrastructure and middleware, container orchestrators such as Kubernetes or the development tools and other resources. You manage the applications and services you develop, and the cloud service provider typically manages everything else. Next question. Your company plans to deploy multiple virtual machines in Azure. As the lead architect, you must ensure that all these virtual machines are available if a single data center fails. Solution. You deploy the virtual machines to 2 or more availability zones. Would this solution meet the goal? Option A, yes. Option B, no. And the correct answer is Option A, yes. Explanation. Absolutely. The answer is in the question itself. If one data center goes down, we can make sure our VM is still running in another data center. This is the entire concept of fault tolerance. Make sure you have enough backups to prevent downtime. Availability zones. An availability zone is a high availability offering that protects your applications and data from data center failures. Availability zones are unique physical locations within an Azure region. Each zone is made up of one or more data centers equipped with independent power, cooling, and networking. Very important, please note. To ensure resiliency, there's a minimum of 3 separate zones in all enabled regions. The physical separation of availability zones within a region protects applications and data from data center failures. Zone redundant services replicate your applications, and data across availability zones protect from single points of failure. With availability zones, Azure offers industry-based 99.99% VM uptime SLA. Azure services that support availability zones fall into 2 categories. Number 1. Zonal services, where a resource is pinned to a specific zone, for example, virtual machines, managed disk, standard IP addresses, or number 2, zone redundant services. when the Azure platform replicates automatically across zones, for example, Zone Redundant Storage SQL database. To achieve comprehensive business continuity on Azure, build your application architecture using the combination of availability zones with Azure region pairs. You can synchronously replicate your applications and data using availability zones within an Azure region for high availability and asynchronously replicate across Azure regions for disaster recovery protection. Next question. When computing and processing demand increases beyond an on-premises data center's capabilities, businesses can easily use the dash cloud to instantly scale capacity up or down to handle excess capacity. Option A, public. Option B, private. And the correct answer is option A, public. Explanation. From the official docs, when computing and processing demand increases beyond an on-premises data center's capabilities, businesses can use the cloud to instantly scale capacity up or down to handle excess capacity. It also allows them to avoid the time and cost of purchasing, installing, and maintaining new servers that they may not always need. Next question. Which of the following services can automatically sign users in when they are on their corporate devices and connected to your corporate network? Option A, password auth. Option B, single sign-on SSO. Option C, multi-factor authentication MFA. Option D, Azure Sentinel. And the correct answer is option B, single sign-on. Explanation. From the official documentation, Azure Active Directory Seamless Single Sign-On automatically signs users in when they are on their corporate devices, connected to your corporate network. When enabled, users don't need to type in their password to sign in to Azure AD, and usually even type in their usernames. This feature provides your users easy access to your cloud-based applications without needing any additional on-premises components. With single sign-on, users sign in once with one account to access domain joint devices, company resources, software as a service SaaS applications, and web applications. After signing in, the user can launch applications from the Office 365 portal or the Azure AD My Apps Access panel. Administrators can centralize user account management and automatically add or remove user access to applications based on group membership. Next question. A client of yours is a content creator and would like to be notified via email whenever their course is purchased. Which of the following solutions would be best suited for this automation? Option A, an API app. Option B, a server image in Azure Marketplace. Option C, a web app. Option D, a logic app. And the correct answer is option D, a logic app. Explanation. From the official Azure docs, Azure Logic Apps is a cloud service that helps you schedule, automate, and orchestrate tasks, business processes, and workflows when you need to integrate apps, data, systems, and services across enterprises or organizations. Logic App simplifies how you design and build scalable solutions for app integration, data integration, system integration, enterprise application integration EAI, and business-to-business B2B communication, whether in the cloud or on-premises or both. For example, here are just a few workloads you can automate with Logic Apps. Process and route orders across on-premises systems and cloud services. Send email notifications with Office 365 when events happen in various systems, apps, and services. Move uploaded files from an SFTP or FTP server to Azure storage. Monitor tweets for a specific subject, analyze the sentiment, and create alerts or tasks for items that need review. An example of a flow. Next question. Fill in the blanks. Dash. Is the mission-critical cloud delivering breakthrough innovation to US government customers and their partners? Only US federal, state, local, and tribal governments and their partners have access to this dedicated instance, with operations controlled by screened US citizens. Option A, Azure Government. Option B, Azure Nation. Option C, Azure US. Option D, Azure United States. And the correct answer is option A, Azure Government. Explanation. From the official docs, Azure Government, it is the mission-critical cloud delivering breakthrough innovation to US government customers and their partners. Only US federal, state, local and tribal governments and their partners have access to this dedicated instance, with operations controlled by screened US citizens. Next question. Suppose the lead architect in your company has asked your team to implement a PaaS-based solution in Azure for a quick proof of concept (POC) to senior management. One of your colleagues goes ahead and creates an Azure app service and 3 Azure virtual machines. Would you agree with this implementation? Option A, no. Option B, yes. And the correct answer is option A, no. Explanation. An Azure App Service is a PaaS platform as a service, so this is not an issue. However, Azure Virtual Machines fall under the category of IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service, since you are renting infrastructure. Therefore, we would disagree with this decision. Next question. Your organization has an on-premise infrastructure. The requirement from senior management is to migrate everything to the cloud. What would you as an advisor recommend to deal with an unexpected Azure outage in a data center or availability zone? Option A, elasticity. Option B, scalability. Option C, using cheap resources to lose lesser money. Option D, fault tolerance. And the correct answer is option D, fault tolerance. Explanation. There are several mechanisms built into Microsoft Azure to ensure services and applications remain available in the event of a failure. Such failures can include hardware failures, such as hard disk crashes, or temporary availability issues of dependent services, such as storage or networking services. Azure and its software-controlled infrastructure are written in a way to anticipate and manage such failures. In the event of a failure, the Azure infrastructure, the Fabric controller reacts immediately to restore services and infrastructure. For example, if a virtual machine fails due to a hardware failure on the physical host, the Fabric controller moves that VM to another physical node based on the same hard disk stored in Azure storage. Azure is similarly capable of coordinating upgrades and updates in such a way as to avoid service downtime. For computing resources, such as cloud services, traditional IaaS VMS, VM scale sets, the most important and fundamental concepts for enabling high availability are fault domains and upgrade domains. These have been part of Azure since its inception. Thank you for watching this video. Buy our AZ 900 premium questions with 50% off. Check link in the description.